I'm sure as I'm talking right now, you can think about times that you've been with some of these things, or your partner has, all right? Or maybe past relationships that you've had, there's someone been controlling. I mean, you've been controlling. Let me say it this way. I think on some level, we all will do some of those traits periodically. Let's be honest, we've got our broken sides to us, right? We're never going to be perfect, ever. It is not meant for us to be perfect. I don't believe that God designed humans to be perfect. We were in the Garden of Eden, but after the fall, perfection is not a possibility. But I'll tell you what is possible: maturity. And mature adults treat people with goodwill, respect, humility, and empathy. It's not that we do these things that matters. What matters is, are you ready? That is how you are, listen to my phrase, as a way of being. That's how you are as a way of being. One of the things that my mentor, I was complaining about Luella many years ago when I was working with Dr. Lori Gordon, and I was complaining about Luella, and Dr. Gordon said to me, "You want to know why Luella is the way she is with you?" And I said, "Yeah, I know why." And she said, "Why?" And she said to me, "Luella is the way she is with you because of how you are." Listen to the phrase, because of how you are as a way of being. She said, "What would you expect her to do? Look at how you are as a way of being. You trained her to be that way. You taught her to be that way." Novel idea that we actually create in others who they are because of how we are as a way of being. If you are controlling as a way of being, you are training your partner to be who they are, to respond to you or react to you the way they do. Now, Dr. Phil, he actually says it a little bit easier on his TV show, kind of regularly. He says it this way: we teach people how to be around us. Why is it you teach people how to be around you? Because of how you are as a way of being. One of our conversations we do a conversation around trust. Trust has actually 8 components to it. For someone to say, "You need to trust me," because trust has 8 components to it, all right? And we talk about what those 8 components are, and they break down in any one of those 8, you've lost trust. But another conversation, we say it this way: trust is essential for any relationship, but it's very essential for a marriage. You control someone, they're not going to trust you. But how do we trust people? I mean, think about it. How do you trust people? The answer is simple. We trust people based on the way that we know them. You trust people based on the way that you know them. In other words, if I know you to be late, I trust you to be late. If I know you to be on time, I trust you to be on time. If I know you to be a person of goodwill, I trust you to be a person of goodwill. If I know you to be a person who's disrespectful, I trust you to be a person who's disrespectful, because we trust people based on the way we know them. And guess what? You create your own way of being known. You create it. Now, if you on a regular basis are someone who's on time, and for once you became late, people don't know you to be late, so they overlook the late periodically. Got it? But who you are as a way of being is who you are. It is who you are. And so we have to transform ourselves into people of goodwill, respect, humility, and empathy. Why? So you don't control others. Because you realize to control another is disrespectful. Leaders are controlling. Leaders can be insensitive. It's what we call in the business world emotional intelligence. I like the word emotional wellness. And I started teaching emotional wellness and leadership 15 years ago in businesses. Why? One, it was another way to impact families. But because the research makes it clear, people don't leave their jobs. They actually leave their bosses. That's why they leave. They're tired of being treated in disrespectful ways and treated with a lack of dignity. That's right, dignity. Some great books written on dignity and dignity in leadership. A lot of things she says in that book, I say just in a different way, but she's absolutely right. All humans are worthy of being respected because they have dignity, and you never disrespect a person's dignity. Just the fact they exist means they have dignity. All right, so let's kind of wrap this thing up for a little bit. Last part of our conversation: how do you deal with a controlling spouse? I mean, how do you deal with these kinds of people? All right. So we're going to give you some points here. Number 1, reach out and get help from somebody else. Don't deal with them on your own. Reach out and get help. Talk to a counselor, talk to a mentor, talk to a trusted friend, but reach out and get help. You may have to work on some things in you that allow people to control you. Did you get that? The fact that they're controlling is one thing, but the fact that you allow yourself to be controlled is a different conversation. What is it about you that allows yourself to be disrespected? What is it about you that allows yourself to stay in those situations? So number 1, reach out and get help from others. There is wisdom. There's an ancient Jewish proverb that says wisdom in a multitude of counselors. talk to different people, get insight, read books. If you are listening to me now and you have a controlling spouse, get the book Boundaries by Henry Cloud and John Townsend, two psychologists. Get that book. Read that book. Embrace the principles in that book and make it a way of living for you. Number 2, lovingly and caringly share with your partner, this controlling person, how their behavior is affecting you. Now, if it's a domestic violence case, we're going to put those on the shelf because those are a very different way of being. And personally, research shows marriage counseling increases domestic violence. All right. So in cases of violence, you don't do marriage counseling. You get out and get safe and you do individual counseling. All right. But we're not talking about those situations. We're going to talk about normal controlling in different ways than violence. All right. Share with your partner how their behavior is affecting you. Speak with I statements. Share with, this is how I feel. This is what it's like for me. My hope is they can have some level of empathy and care. Number 3, I mentioned the book. Boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. Make sure you keep those boundaries. Boundaries are about self-respect. You're not going to talk to me that way. You're not going to treat me that way. You're not going to call me those names. Luella used to do this with me. It'd make me mad in my earlier days because I used to manipulate around her boundaries in passive-aggressive ways. But she had boundaries up. Her yes was yes or her no was no. And if I said something in a manipulative way, she just took me at that word. Oh, it would make me mad. But she was wise enough not to chase those things. She had good boundaries and still does to this day. Number 4, excuse me. Number 4 thing you can do to control what you can do to deal with a controlling spouse. Develop your own self-respect and self-confidence. Develop your own self-respect and self-confidence. If you don't respect you, who's going to? Self-respecting people don't let people control them. They don't let them call them names. Now, they don't try and control those people from doing those things. But it would sound like this. If you want to talk to me this way, that's your choice. But I'm not going to be here to be treated this way, so I'll remove myself. It's getting your voice and speaking up and saying who you are. Speak up. Just do it with goodwill and respect. It's like speaking your truth in a loving way. Speak the truth, just do it in love. And to do it in love would be goodwill, respect, humility, and empathy. Get counseling for yourself and your marriage. If nothing's changing, this person is not willing to transform, then get counseling for yourself and your marriage. All right. And lastly, and this is the tough part. This is the tough part that that some people have, hate to hear, but it's still true. If this person is continuing to control you over and over and over, the message they're sending is, I don't care about us, i.e. the relationship. I do care about me. You're an object to be used by me for whatever I want. That is not love. That is not marriage. And some people are put in a position, are you ready, to have to decide, should I stay in this? I tell people, when you treat people in a certain way on a regular basis, because that's how you are as a way of being, you then create conversations in their mind they've never wanted to have. Don't live in such a way that you create conversations in people's lives that they don't really want to have. And sadly, if you keep up the controlling behavior, then you're putting your partner in a position sometimes to decide, do I really want to live this way? Is this what I want? Is this how I want my kids to see marriage? So some people have to decide if you need to stay in the relationship. In domestic violence, you've got to get out. You must get out. I'm not saying divorce, but you must separate and be safe. That's my talk today on dealing with a controlling spouse. Dealing with a controlling spouse. I hope in some ways it's been helpful, maybe giving you some insights and some things to think about. If you've listened to this and realized, hey, wait a minute, I really have a controlling spouse and I really do need help, call a counselor, contact us, all right? You can get us through drrickmarks.com, drrickmarks.com. Contact us, all right? We do intensive for very highly distressed marriages. We call them Hope for Us weekends. I've got one coming up in August, the last weekend. But if you're listening to me and you are controlling, ask yourself, what is it about you that wants to be disrespectful towards others? What is it about you that wants to treat people with ill will? What wound is in your soul that motivates you to disrespect others? And that's a hard thing to hear, and it's a hard pill to swallow. Same thing, though, it was asked of me many years ago in my early 20s. And I decided I ain't going to be that way anymore. I'm changing my life and becoming a different person. And I did, because my wife says I have.